Hello and welcome to episode 364 of Sutton and Back Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and Jason and I would like to shout out to UConn and South Carolina for their NCAA championship wins.
Yeah.
And both of those games, the championship team dominated.
Oh, without a doubt.
Maybe not in the first half, but in the second half they both pulled away and dominated. And I mean, Zach Edey had a great game for Purdue, 37 points.
Yeah.
Wasn't enough. Caitlin Clark had a great game, not enough. And the other teams were just stronger as teams.
Yeah, without a question. And I guess it was kind of chalk, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Next year's going to be interesting. I really like Connecticut. I like Paige Buchers, and they already signed the number one player in high school for next year.
And LSU lost a lot of players.
LSU's got some players. We'll see.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. And like you and I talked before, this has been an incredible year for women's basketball against NCAA.
Incredible.
Now, next year we're going to see if it's women's basketball or, and how much star-driven is it going to be? Because it is star-driven right now.
Yeah. Everything
Let's
is,
see
right?
if the other stars are enough to make up for no Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. I mean, people love famous people. That's why famous people get cast in movies. I read this terrifying article that Kim Kardashian wants to be a movie star and the streaming services are in. So expect to see more Kim Kardashian as an actress, which is just an abomination. But I mean, people like famous people, right? So
famous people, yeah.
And I guess shout out to Caitlin Clark for SNL. She was a little stiff, but pretty funny, right?
Yeah. And that's pretty much to ask of anybody, especially a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
And she went on, and she had some nice banner with Michael Che. And, kudos to Michael Che. He held up his end well.
He did.
Colin Jost really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Saturday Night Live, I know we're talking about college basketball right now, and we'll talk about it more in entertainment, but that was the best Saturday Night Live I think I've seen all year.
Yeah, it was outstanding. And like you said, we'll get into the end, but
if you haven't seen it, go on demand or whatever you need to do to watch it. But I mean, it is. And Chris Stapleton, the musical guest. I mean, everything is really, really good.
Yeah. And like I said, the Caitlin Clark experience, and now she's going to be the number one pick in the draft and playing in Indiana.
And we've seen the 36 out of the 40 games are going to be on. They're going to be the game, the national telecast game. So
wow.
It's almost like what ESPN does with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna have the Indiana Fever. Are going to be the equivalent of the Dodgers, I guess.
Yeah. And I think we'll get to see a lot about Caitlin Clark because I mean the next thing I want to talk about is the NBA and Victor Wembanyama, and that was a guy that came in with extreme hype, like Caitlin Clark is coming into. And a bunch of established players in the NBA were looking at Victor Wembanyama being like, you're going to have to prove yourself because you don't get to have all the accolades and take all our exposure and all our money without get fight. And that's what Caitlin Clark seems like she's going to have because some of the WNBA players have been like, you're not a 22-year-old playing against 18-year-olds. You're going to play against the best in the world. You better be ready, which I appreciate. I thought the talk was pretty cool.
And then Wembanyama and Caitlin Clark are both not playing in major markets.
No.
And I think that's interesting. I'm going to see how many, when they do the television schedule next year for TNT, TBS, and ABC, I want to see how many Spurs games are going to be on. Because they really weren't on that much.
No. Yeah, they show the highlights constantly, but they don't show the games very often.
So it'll be interesting to see. But, I mean, he had a phenomenal year. So let's just move right into our NBA.
Yeah.
Big day today. A lot of seeding at stake.
Big time.
I mean, 3 teams vying for the number 1 seed in the West.
OKC, Minnesota, and Denver.
All have the same identical record. And I think Oklahoma City has the tiebreaker.
It appears so.
But Oklahoma City plays Phoenix, I think, right?
They do. And Phoenix can catch...
who's Phoenix play? I know that Denver plays Memphis.
Phoenix can catch Phoenix has like one game. They're one game behind New Orleans, but I think they have the tiebreaker over New Orleans. And New Orleans in the 6th, and Phoenix in the 7th, which is giant because that means you're either in the play-in or you're out of the play-in. So
are they playing each other?
I think they are. Yeah.
I think they are too. That'll be a heck of a game. I mean, Zion. Shout out to Zion for he could be my comeback player of the
I think he would be very deserving of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
So if that one's on today, I'm gonna have to watch a little bit of that one.
yeah, because Golden State, Sacramento, and Los Angeles are all locked into play-ins. Dallas, the Clippers, and the three teams we mentioned above have already made the playoffs, and the New Orleans and Phoenix, that's giant because you win that game, you're out of the play-in tournament, and you're in the playoffs.
And I think the game's in New Orleans.
It is
Ah,
because I mean, if you whoever loses that game, you're playing Los Angeles, Sacramento, Golden State, and that's not an easy,
no. I mean, these are gonna be great playoff series.
And like I said, just the play-in. If Golden State, the Lakers, the Suns, or the Pelicans made a run in the West, all teams that could be in the play-in, you wouldn't be shocked, right?
No, not at all.
And I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas made a run. Obviously, any of the top three teams. And then you have the weirdo Clippers who are locked into the 4 seed. And, you know,
And then, for me, having worked in the NBA and having worked with as a consultant with a lot of these teams, I mean, Minnesota, New Orleans, Phoenix, Oklahoma City, those are all real special teams to me. The Heat, the Magic, those are all real special teams to me.
yeah.
So it's real meaningful for me to be able to watch this year.
Oh, yeah. Because, yeah, then you look at the play-in in the East, and it looks like it's going to be, well, Philadelphia and Indiana, much like the Clippers or the Pelicans and the Suns, are right at the who's in the play-in, who's out of the play-in. But then you have Miami, Chicago, and Atlanta. And as good, I mean, I think Miami would be the only team you'd really worry about of those play-in teams.
Hmm. Yeah, Miami tried to get another player all year long, starting with trying to get Dame, and just never worked out.
No,
And they desperately need another piece.
desperately. Although playoff Jimmy,
I don't expect Miami to have a playoff run like they've had the last couple of years.
no, at some point, it takes more players than it does your culture. And they lost, they lost 3 or 4 pretty big free agents last year. Like, not people that have gone on to do anything really that much big for other teams, but still, the Gabe Vincents and some of those of the world are guys that really played well for the Heat. And even if they haven't gone on to success elsewhere, like, that is still people gone from them. So,
Well, how are you feeling about your Knicks?
they're a really fun team to watch.
Okay.
I can't see them beating Boston. And I think that's what it ultimately comes down to,
Yeah.
But, it's weird that New York City, like, they've almost become like Memphis North. Like, they're the grit and grind team, right?
Yeah.
They, going back to like the old days with Oakley and all those guys where they just played hard nosed, scruffy basketball. Like, they're not a run and gun. They're not a glamorous team. Like, it's a lot of pounding and rebound and defense, which makes sense because they're a Thibodeau coach team. But
Yeah.
I think if you're New York, though, you're excited because you got a lot of assets. Jalen Brunson is an absolute star. The Julius Randle, experience is pretty much at an end. I think he's an expiring contract next year, so he's a good player, but I don't think he's somebody you want to build around.
No.
I think you got to feel pretty confident. I mean, I don't know who the guy is you go get. The one thing I do want to see, and I was thinking about this, like, obviously, another story we're going to talk about is Bronny is declared for the NBA draft. And, LeBron wants to play with Bronny. LeBron is technically free at the end of this season. I would love to see LeBron, he's going to take crap. I feel like as a microcosm for the way we have discourse in this country, like, you're not going to change your mind on LeBron, right? If you're a Jordan guy, you're a Jordan guy. If you're a LeBron guy, you're a LeBron guy. And nothing he does is going to change that. Outside of, be the league MVP at 41 and 42 and win back-to-back titles. But I would like to see him become a basketball mercenary. Like, I would love to see LeBron on the Nuggets. He and Jokic passing with the 2 IQs, like, just go to the Nuggets for a year. Or go to Golden...
So let's say this.
Yeah.
So draft's coming up.
Yeah.
Do you spend the number 1 pick if you're not picking in the lottery? do you spend a number one, or if you're not picking in the top five, let's say you're picking six on down, do you pick Bronny knowing you're going to probably get LeBron?
I would, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I mean
mean,
that's the reality of it.
yeah, it's this
So if you're
draft.
the Knicks, do you take Bronny to get LeBron? Can you imagine that?
I can. Like I said, I love the idea of LeBron just being like. I know he's got the production company and he owns a lot of property in LA, but I mean, the NBA season are on the road most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
Like you want to talk about being able to potentially pass Jordan in those Jordan people's mind. If you won a title with the Knicks, that's one of the things you could do, right?
All right. Here's my. It's not a conspiracy theory. Here's my better business theory.
Okay.
I'm the Clippers. I'm drafting Bronny.
Oh yeah.
Then I'm going to get LeBron, which takes him away from the Lakers, which gives you LeBron to open up your brand new building.
It's incredible. If
That's mine.
if I'm Philly and I've got a max slot open, I'd trade up and get Bronny.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Miami, I'd bring LeBron back.
Yeah. If I'm Oklahoma City and I have 18,000 picks, I'll trade package two of those together and go get Bronny and see if he wants to come play with SGA and
Yeah.
Williams and on that team for a year. I mean,
LeBron would be nice on that team. A little bit of veteran presence with all those young players. That'd be really nice.
and say you add one more big like a Hartenstein type to give Chet a little bit of relief, and then you add LeBron. That team would be insane. Um, Put him with Anthony Edwards in Minnesota. Yeah. There's no going wrong. I don't know if he's friends with James and Giannis, but have go to Milwaukee. I just feel like, basketball samurai, traveling, barnstorming with LeBron for the next 2 or 3 years, going wherever he needs to go, and just bring Bronny with him.
Yeah. Then you just have to make sure Bronny gets a little bit of non-pine time.
Yeah, which I'm sure.
Because I don't think Bronny's all that.
No, he's better than Michael Jordan's son. So that's one area he definitely. I don't think any Jordan fans can argue that.
I can't argue that either.
But yeah, that's pretty much where it probably comes and ends.
So lots of fun basketball to watch today, and then starting Wednesday with the play-in games,
Yeah,
and then all through the playoffs. I think it's going to be outstanding.
I'm super excited.
Okay, it's time for Dad to pat himself on the back.
Okay, go right ahead.
For those of you that follow me on Twitter, think back about 2 months ago when I was criticizing the NHL for being stubborn, trying to make the Coyotes work in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And I said at the time, put them in Salt Lake City. What's the big hang up here? What's the problem? Why are you having a team play in a 5,000 seat arena? It's not fair to the other teams. It's just stupid. It's just not. There is no market for them. There's no facility, and there's no groundswell that says, hey, we need to build an arena for this team. So imagine how happy I was this week to see that what is going to happen. Now, they are going to go to Salt Lake City. And so I tweeted this week, maybe they follow me. Maybe the NHL is following me on Twitter.
I think they might be.
I think so. But it's just, it's not like I had this genius idea. It was probably the most common sense idea.
Yeah.
And I would have picked that market because, you're going to have hockey and you're going to have NBA in there, and that's all you're going to have.
And you're picking an area that actually has snow and ice.
Houston, you become like Phoenix. You have so many teams.
Yeah, and I also just think, born and bred in Pittsburgh where we actually do get some snow and ice. Like I feel like snow and ice is kind of a key for. I know Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning have performed quite well in Florida, but I think you have a lot of expats too that have had snow and ice. Mm-hmm. I think if you grow up in a city like Phoenix where you never skate, I think it also makes it harder to fall in love with hockey. I mean, like a city like Utah where they have a winter sports culture, I just think it makes more sense. I think the kids need to grow up in an area where they play hockey from time to time to really make NHL successful.
I think it's a good ownership, nice building.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And speaking of hockey playoffs are about to start, and unfortunately, my Penguins seem like they're
They looked really good a week ago,
Yeah,
and they've had a bad week.
they've had a really bad week. They're still in it with Philadelphia, Washington, and even Islanders aren't too far ahead of them. So there's a chance, but it's, you know, they lost to the wrong teams this week.
Yeah.
It's a real bummer. The draft so far is mainly just rumors, right? Who's going
Draft
where?
continues to be rumors. I
Yeah.
mean, are you gonna? Is Minnesota gonna take Kyler Murray? And I don't think so. Nothing surprised me, but I don't think so. I would question the value of Kyler Murray. So
He hasn't proven a lot in when he's and as good as he has been. He's the least he's not proven he can stay on the field, which
true.
that's pretty much the most important aspect of being. I mean, no matter how much they make the rules favor the offense, and they continue to do so yearly, you still have to be able to take the hits and stay on the field. And Kyler Murray's not been able to take the hits and stay on the field. So, you know,
It's funny. There was a column out the other day where they were rating all these quarterbacks in the draft, and it was bust, um, serviceable player, longtime pro, all star. Those were the four.
yeah,
So I only pay attention to the bust. And for all of them, the bust, I think the lowest bust was like 48%.
hmm, yeah. I mean, like I said, you just never know.
The highest bust was Spencer Rattler.
Ah, yeah.
He was a 90% bust. 90.
And I'm sure those percentages change on when you would get that player, right?
No, it just
Just
if they're in the pros, this is what's going to happen.
well, that's pretty crazy. Yeah.
90. And I think Michael Penix was at 68% maybe. And Bo Nix was in the 50s. I think the guy from Louisiana, from LSU, was in the 50s. I think Caleb Williams was like 48, 46. He was like the one that was, he and Drake May, I think, were the top under 50. But they weren't like, 10% bust. They were like in the 40s.
Yeah.
Which is like what we've been talking about. You've mentioned it numerous times, is that there's, just because you're guaranteed a number one draft pick as a quarterback doesn't mean you're not going to be a bust.
No, and
AKA Kenny Pickett.
And you just still have to keep taking them though, despite the high bust rate, because even though, it's clear you could draft Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1 overall, and he's going to be a good to great player for the next decade, assuming he stays healthy. Like there's not his floor is so high, but at the same time, if you want to win Super Bowls, if you want to be on the national stage and have Subway commercials, you've got to have a quarterback. So you just got to keep taking that swing over and over again.
Yeah.
Let's do a Steeler moment, right?
Yeah, for sure.
First off, congratulations to Hines Ward. He's going to be the Arizona State wide receiver coach.
Wide receivers coach.
And we love Hines Ward in our house, so
We do.
very happy to see him continuing to do what he loves. And then I guess a not super excited shout out to Russell Wilson, who said some dumb shit this week.
Oh, I must have missed that. What did he say?
He talked about how he opened doors for black quarterbacks. And then Shannon Sharp ripped him apart.
Yeah.
And I don't...
You know what he opened doors for? Under 6 foot quarterbacks.
Under 6
But
foot.
not black quarterbacks.
No, he and Drew Brees, I guess, yeah. But it just... And he sort of walked it back and said that he didn't mean it in terms of this, in terms of that. But, at some point, Russell Wilson's going to Russell Wilson, right?
Yeah, he's going to shoot himself in the foot.
He's going to show you videos of him...
Hopefully not on the field this year.
No, he's going to show you videos of him working out. He's going to say a bunch of goofy, inspirational stuff I'm almost beginning to wonder. It took me a while to come around on Gronk as a person, right?
Right.
I mean, he was a Patriot, which makes me dislike him right off the bat. But once I realized that he is just a fist-bumping Guido from New Jersey, and that sort of... He doesn't... What you see of Gronk is what you get of Gronk, right? You may not...
Gronk's originally from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a Northeastern, take my shirt off at parties. kind of goofball, and then you just sort of respect that. Maybe I don't want to hang out with him, but that's what he is, genuinely to his core.
Jason Kelsey's trying to be Gronk too.
Yeah, but I think Gronk is 100% sincere in who he is, and maybe I'll
100%.
and maybe I'll come around to Russ that yes, he's kind of a douchebag, but that's who Russ is.
But see, Gronk is a likable idiot.
Yeah, he is. That's
Russell Wilson's not likable. That's
no,
the problem.
not even a little bit.
No, Gronk is likable. I mean, he's the guy. Oh, Revenge of the Nerds. He's ogre.
Yeah, he is.
Without the attitude, he's a nice guy. I mean, but that's who he is.
And I think both us personally, I think 99% of Steeler fans, and I would assume Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, and the Rooneys, the ideal scenario is for Justin Fields to be the best quarterback, regardless, right?
Right.
Nobody wants to see Russ as a bridge for a year, and then hopefully, everyone in Pittsburgh, even if Russ was the coolest person on the planet, which we've just established that he's not, everybody wants the 24-year-old Justin Fields to be the guy that they thought he was coming out, and he takes over the Steelers starting quarterback job. So
that's the desired option.
Yeah, and I don't think.
You wonder if that would have happened first, if the Steelers would have taken Russell Wilson.
Yeah, the story that came out for people that don't know is because Ryan Clark blasted Kenny Pickett again this week, is that the Steelers thought bringing Russell Wilson in would reignite a competitive fire in Pickett that they thought went out. It seems like a bad situation overall, but Ryan Clark blasted him. He's like, you gave up a chance to start for a great organization and compete against Russell Wilson to go be a backup for somebody else. It was like, so we wouldn't want you on our team anyway.
Yeah.
And it seems like, like I said, the one exciting thing about Justin Fields is even when he was out the door and when you knew he wasn't going to be the Bears quarterback, all of his dudes in that locker room, Cole Kmet, the receivers, DJ Moore, they were all like, we love Justin, we want Justin back. And that's even after he was leaving and they don't even know who their quarterback is going to be. So he's that likable. Whereas Kenny Pickett, when he left, it was sort of like, yeah, see ya. Crickets from, the TJ Watts, Minka Fitzpatricks, and Cam Hayworth, who went out and recruited Russell Wilson. Yep. So we're pretty happy with that.
All right, Masters weekend. Scotty Scheffler has a one-stroke lead over Colin Morikawa. Scotty Scheffler, he says it's his to lose. It's hard to argue.
Yeah.
He's a great golfer. I would like to see Colin Morikawa win. I would like to see almost anybody win that hasn't won before. So I'll be watching. But my pet peeve on the Masters right now is Tiger shot like an 82 or an 83 yesterday.
Yeah.
And they keep hammering that it's the worst score he's ever had. Let him alone.
Yeah.
He's not happy about it. Let him alone.
No.
He's had so many injuries, everything else. He played well the first 2 days. He's probably worn out, but he doesn't have that much stamina, and he's walking all those holes. Give him credit. He made the cut. Give him credit. Shut up.
Yeah, and I think, if you look at the front page of ESPN, it says stream the Masters on ESPN Plus, featuring groups including Tiger Woods. So, they still can't move on from him, right? Because he's still the hot ticket.
They might today, since he still probably is going to be one of the featured groups, but they'll probably spend more time with everybody else.
Yeah. Now, obviously, Tiger Woods, forget about off the field stuff, but he was one of the most incredible golfers of all. You can't really replace him, right?
It's hard. It's hard.
Because almost like Caitlin Clark. Yeah.
It's like he's the Tom Brady but there's more than one. There's 32 teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's one golf tournament. He's the Tom Brady of every golf tournament. So yeah.
And
speaking of which, Tom Brady making noise about coming back to play again.
Yeah, did you watch it or did you just read it?
I read it.
I watched it.
And I read where it would have to be like a team where injury and they're going to be in the playoffs and he'd come back for part of the season. I got to tell you, I was at his last game against the Cowboys
Yeah.
when he was 45 years old. He played like he was 65. And now he's been out a year. I just don't see. This is the most ridiculous thing to me ever.
I will say, I mean, it's the culture, right? You have to say the most ridiculous thing to get traction and to stay in the spotlight. So there's part of it is that. But like if I watched the interview, the little piece of it, it's in a very goofy, fanned out sort of way. And Tom Brady's saying the whole thing with a smile on his face. So, you know, it felt less like a serious statement and more just, in that environment with, that host and that show, it felt like it made more sense, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it didn't feel as much about like, you know, he seemed more caught up in the moment, just having fun when he said it. Is what I would say. But if the 49ers had an injury late in the season, I could see it. It'd be kind of fun. Right? I can't imagine. I mean, I would, like I said, I'd be all about it. Tom Brady doing his thing. And are you still here? I think we may have lost him. Well, I know we spoke offline, or we do not have a food moment this week because.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here.
Oh, okay, yeah. You just sort of disappeared on me. No, I was just.
I'm out on Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Absolutely out.
Yeah.
Let's switch to food and entertainment. I'm still watching Shogun. Still loving every second of it.
Okay.
We talked about Saturday Night Live, which we've already told everybody they need to watch that. I'm going to try tonight. I think it's Mr. Sherlock Holmes on Amazon Prime, and it's like set, and he's battling. I think he's battling dementia or something like that.
Yeah, that looks very
Back to
interesting.
this cold case. Have you seen it?
No, I've got it on my queue though. I've added it to the queue of things to watch because
Yeah,
it looks
I think I'm going to try it.
it looks really good.
And then Mom is really into The Gentleman from Moscow.
Okay.
And we watched 3 episodes so far. I mean, I'm not as into it as she is, but she read the book. But it's, Ewan McGregor's doing a great job. There's some interesting stories. It's an interesting story. I just don't know how I feel about it, but Mom really likes it.
Okay. Well, we watched the first episode of Fallout, which is based on the video game. It does star Walter Goggins, who we love from Justified.
Yes.
And it's a really fun adaptation. It's post-apocalyptic. It's pretty brutal and gruesome. Like you're going to see some, it's an excellent adaptation of the video game, and it's really well done. And obviously they've done a good job. Like you put Walter Goggins in the starring role, and you've got our attention. So, but I'm only an episode in, so I don't want to talk too much about it.
Okay.
And then we also enjoy the sitcom Lopez versus Lopez, which is George Lopez and his daughter. It's a very traditional Peacock sitcom, but it's enjoyable. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. I continue to watch Leave It to Beaver, and I'm getting close to the very, very last episode, which I'm excited to see.
Okay.
Which I don't remember if I've ever seen the last episode or not.
It's hard to imagine you haven't, but yeah, you never know.
I don't know. That would have been 1962. That's 62 years ago. I don't know how much I remember.
Yeah, I just figured. I know it was.
I'd only been 12.
Yeah, I just figured the Nick at Night reruns and.
No.
Okay.
I would have been 11.
Okay. And that was at a time where if you missed it, you missed it.
I missed it.
Which no one.
I've got no food moments this week. I'm ashamed to say.
I don't either. We just didn't go anywhere or order any food, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it. We'll be talking playoffs next week. They won't name the MVP before the next podcast, right?
No.
But we both said we think Jokic is the MVP.
Because they do that show now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Enjoy this last week the last day of NBA regular season, and enjoy the play-in. We didn't talk any baseball this week. It's still kind of early. Bunch of injuries throwing things out already, so pay attention to that. We're still getting ready for the draft.
Oh, and I
And
guess congratulations, Shohei Ohtani, for being innocent.
yeah, I still don't know where I am on this story, Jason.
Yeah, I think this might be someone taking one for the team.
And remember the Japanese culture. I mean, he's falling on his sword, right?
That's what it feels like to me.
That's what it feels like to me.
And I'm sure he will be compensated incredibly well. His family will be very well taken care of, and he'll sneak out of whatever sentences he gets. I don't think he's going to serve a lot of time.
Here's my problem with it. If it's true, Otani has to be one of the stupidest people in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's $16 million. How do you not know $16 million is gone? I mean, I don't. Numbers are numbers. The numbers aren't in American and Japanese. They're numbers.
Yeah.
So you should, if you had $16 million missing, you should know.
And you would think there would have been someone else in his camp. Like, I know it's not just the interpreter running everything, right? Wouldn't somebody else be like, hey, where's this money?
Well, you would think.
Lawyers, agents. Yeah. And again, like, people are like, well, he could impersonate him. And I know that, but this felt like a too big to fail situation where Otani's value to Major League Baseball is so high, they cannot have this happen to him, right? Especially when there's an easy way to make somebody else
Sure.
the complete baddie. And I don't know, but either way, I guess we'll find out in a book in 20 years or Netflix documentary, or when Shohei Ohtani is $8 million in debt next year from gambling.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. All right, well, the dog's getting kind of crazy, so I'm going to sign off.
Alrighty, bye.